It's kind of funny how things that shake up our reality seem to pop up every now and then. First we find out we are not alone. Not by a long shot. And then, the beings out there are far beyond anything we can understand. Let me tell you about this planet, located either somewhere isolated on our galaxy or even outside of it, if not, as some have suggested, within some pocket dimension. This is the planet known as Jhenna. It is tidally locked, one of its sides in perpetual darkness, and one eternally suffering the scorching light of its star. It is not a natural place, for it was made by, if you pardon the inaccurate term, the hands of organisms comparable only to very few living beings in our files. Throughout history, we've known these beings by many names, and while here at the center we prefer the term celestial, the word angel may perhaps be the most easy to recognize. Tales of our world, of course, already speak of their fate. A rebellion among their ranks, followed by a devastating civil war. Many fell under weapons we can scarcely conceive of, their bodies strewn across Gehenna's surface. The planet itself was forsaken, and among the wreckage of abandoned equipment and destroyed weapons, the flesh of angels birthed new life. This biomass was not like ours. It was undetermined, undefined. Upon death, every, so to speak, cell took off on its own, regaining a new semblance of life in equal measures similar and alien to that of its forebears. Despite its artificial nature, many ecosystems have formed over time across Gehenna's surface. Furthest north of the planet we may find a frozen wasteland, the Glutton's Rot, a place where icy rain constantly floods the land. It is not rare at all for organisms in this place to freeze to death in a matter of minutes, their dead bodies turned into a stream of nutrients by the constant slush, attracting the next batch of hungry demons that will die in this place. Southwards, the temperatures begin rising, and the snowy region known as the cyanide cloud fields emerges from the ice and rain, covered in geysers that shoot toxins into the rarefied air, sapping all but a few living beings of their energy. They will languish where they fell until they die of starvation. Close to these cold regions, more directly exposed to Gehenna's star, lie the volcanic Jinn deserts, the desert of demons and the desert of monsters. The sulfur-rich composition of Gehenna's soil gives the lava in this region, and all fire in the planet, an eerie blue hue. These deserts surround the Emerald Wasteland, the driest region in the entire planet. Deprived of all water and rain, the area is almost entirely lifeless. If only the vast underground reservoirs were not so deep, they would nurture these deadlands. At the south of the planet, right beneath its equator, air currents directed by the nearby mountains will collide chaotically, forming a storm that rages unendingly, eroding the land and ripping the minerals from the ground, turning them into deathly hail. The fact that these exposed minerals work as an aphrodisiac are what gained the eternal lost storm its name. Further south, an enormous swamp can be found, its bright red waters colored by the microorganisms that live in it. Eerily similar to blood, and it might as well be, since the organisms that live in this blood mire feed exclusively on the many demons that have been killed over the ages, their still rotting bodies washing ashore every now and then. In sharp contrast, the golden shine of the closest region may be incredibly attractive, yet is nothing more than a death trap. The golden death fields house the greatest concentration of abandoned celestial tech. Here, demons find themselves in a constant bloodbath as they try to get their hands on this forsaken technology. Finally, at the planet's equator lies the vast mountain range known as the Violet Peaks, from which the 5 rivers of Jhenna feed the surrounding lands. Rivers Styx and Acheron flow south, feeding the blood mire before following on towards the freezing south. The Phlegeton flows eastwards, following the peaks themselves, not reaching the northeastern deserts, but concentrating beneath them. Cocytus runs north, its flow mixing with the ice of the Glutton's Rod, while River Lethe is found between this and the Cyanide cloudfields. Special microorganisms within it can alter the brain chemistry, causing people to lose their memory. The mightiest demons have taken residence among the Violet Heights, in a bid to withhold access to this vital resource from the rest of their kind. On that note, let us talk about life in Jhenna. The simplest life forms are the proto-demons, mere lumps of formless mass, yet capable of acting under their own will. They adapt their biomass to the conditions around them, and feed on Jhenna's resources, as any organism would. After feeding, proto-demons will not only gain the energy necessary to function, but any surplus energy will allow them to develop in new ways, such as budding into new organisms. While these organisms can be proto-demons themselves, varying conditions can cause the result to differ vastly. When food is abundant, for instance, the budding process will create the leech-like scenes, while budding in hard-to-navigate regions will give place to the squat worms known as shamir, capable of using their sharp mouthparts and acid secretions to tunnel through stone. Lemures, for their part, are much more generalist forms. While other beings have developed independently in this place, they are fewer and less diverse than proto-demons and their ilk. One particular example of this are Jinn, formed around extremely hot places, particularly volcanic regions. Their constituting biomass is much less connected, giving them a malleable form that ebbs and flows to their will, to an extent unseen in other beings in Jhenna. Unfortunately, not all beings in this place were born to endure its harshness. We mentioned the planet's food resources a moment ago, and a look at them will reveal bizarre yet familiar figures. The Second Lifers, a term that refers to our unending existential dread to human souls. These are energetic constructs formed around the bioelectrical connections of the human brain, and retain the memories and personality of the original human. These souls are ripped from their original places and fates by demonic technology, derived from celestial tech left on Jhenna after the war. These so-called Lazarus pods will concentrate and reform the original connections into a construct that can hold itself together in this new home. These souls, now stranded in this terrible place, will find only one fate: to be consumed by the demons, who will use the energy they are made of as a power source. Realization of this fact by some ancient scholars led to Jhenna gaining another name, one we may be more familiar with: Hell. Some of the lower demons, like sins, will merely parasitize souls, latching onto and draining them. All demons are attracted to the energy-conforming souls, as it was also the food of their forebears, but many demons are attracted to specific energy signatures, which we hazard to be a slight form of adaptation to different niches that prevents all demons from going after the exact same food sources. These energy signatures reflect the original human's guilt, shame, or regret, tied to the left anterior insula and the left temporoparietal junction, activity which is heightened by the Lazarus pods and by the mental state these souls are left in. Sins, for instance, are very varied in this aspect, being attracted to specific signatures, hence their name. When a soul hosts too many sins, they will become partially integrated over time, turning them into a single entity, a sinner. Meanwhile, a parasite lemure will drape over the soul, seemingly fusing with it into a cloak-like figure. Other demons, however, will consume the soul in its entirety, absorbing it through their core, a process known as animalvory. This process requires the core to be exposed, creating a very fragile balance, as this structure can easily be attacked by other demons. A demon that has lost its core will be severely weakened, and can even die from lack of sustenance in time. To avoid this, a layer of nanites, scavenged from celestial tech, will be used to cover the core of a demon, and most of them will use their biomass to create protective structures, such as spikes and shielding membranes. Animivore, however, is not useful for sustenance alone, as demons who are capable of obtaining a large enough surplus of souls will undergo a transformation. While this process cannot be considered something akin to evolution, its results are somewhat similar, leading to life on Jhenna adapting to their environment and diversifying into many different forms. It might be, in fact, more faithful to outdated ideas of evolution, with punctual stages and an undeniable sense of linear progression, guided, to a degree, by the organism itself. As proto-demons leave their original form, they'll take on a hunched over one, with differentiated limbs and a head. An imp. Much more intelligent than the proto-demons, imps could be considered as facultative sophons, able to remain as beasts or gaining personhood depending on the conditions around them, and their physical properties can vary just as much. One needs only look at the imps from the eternal Lost Storm, winged and flattened to ride the wind currents that characterize it, while the tiny imps from the Cloudfields, intelligent and dexterous, are well known for working the technology of their master, Belphegor. Both sapient and non-sapient imps can further develop from here, gaining forms we could identify as animalistic, such as those of the ever-hungry trackers known as the Hellhounds and the fear-inducing nightmares, facultative sophons at best, or goat-like demons such as the hairy Seirim, the forest-dwelling Chort, and the large and imposing Krampus. As they grow in size and complexity, demons develop a somewhat stable body plan, characterized by an elongated torso, with a tail and 4 limbs, as well as, in many cases, the presence of 2 large membranous wings equipped with organic thrusters, used to fly across their environment like birds of prey in search of souls. While there is some variance between them, as appreciated in the large and brutal cacodemons, most differences between them are based on social aspects. The hooded reapers seen here, for instance, act as the bulk of demonic law enforcement, while the mighty pit fiends are seen in military positions, often being generals to Hell's legions, composed of the mighty Hell Knights. Although similar in appearance to the others, the Malebranche are a creation of the demon Alastor, characterized by their 2-pronged tails, a weapon capable of rending the flesh of other demons with ease. Once a demon develops past this point, things become much more complex. As their biomass and their ability to feed on souls increases, the core of a demon will begin using surplus energy to develop new accessory cores, which will exponentially augment their ability to absorb souls and utilize the energy they provide, turning them into major demons. As one may imagine, these demons fiercely guard and monitor the potential to gain such power, lest their hold over others of their kind weakens. This is extended to the use of celestial technology and of its derivatives, including the nanites, which they use for a variety of purposes that would seem to an observer as magic, which they can even grant and share with their followers and underlings, thus reinforcing their claim to power. To date, the number of major demons in Hell is still relatively low, but they are still numerous all things considered, and many examples have become known by our kind. The greedy Lucifuge, Prime Minister of Hell and first to hide from the Celestials, its course hidden among the folds of its flesh. The warlike Eligos, always ready for battle. Wise Stolas, traversing hell on stilt-like legs, watching all with the keen eye of a bird. Alastor, the tormentor and executioner. Belial, the king, eternally casting his deadly nets. Satan, the three-headed beast, his course covered in crowns of thorns and brutal spikes, among the most bestial and monstrous forms seen in the entire planet. And then we have Lucifer, the morning star, among the few demons that still tries to pass as an angel, soaring mightily on their six-bladed wings, a miniature neutron star quickly spinning above their head. The source of most misery and pain in this forsaken land, their light is nothing but an omen of destruction to all who see it, forming an up to 500,000 kilometers wide gravity shield that instantly crushes all that lives, the intense gamma radiation leaving nothing in its wake. Yet, despite their seemingly otherworldly nature, demons are as capable of dying as any other living being, including those that originated them. Destroying the core of a demon can cause a sudden, chaotic release of energy, that of the souls being consumed within them. In lesser demons, this energy may cause a slight disturbance in the air, flickering of electric lights and failure of some equipment, while major demons, filled with much more energy, will cause a violent explosion upon the destruction of their cores. Despite their seeming power, they can die just like any other living being, same as people, and, as it seems, an even more terrible fate awaits any who die in our world. But, since I personally plan on never dying, I should be fine. So, what you just saw was an episode on the speculative biology of demons, as commissioned by patron Jennywolf. So for this one we once again had the advantage of this video being born from a pre-existing project, Jenny's Trail of Cryptids, including the work of artists who had previously made designs for it, which we worked on bringing to life with these illustrations and narration. For it, we took a look at some old sources like early myths and the Dictionnaire Infernal, famous for giving us darlings like little old stolas. Look at it! Weren't these guys supposed to be scary? Anyways, I really enjoyed working on this one, and there's a ton more to see in this setting, so stay posted for that. I know a lot of you fellas have asked to see something of the demonic kind on the channel, so I hope this was a good start to seeing that whole deal and that you all enjoyed this video. As always, here's a thank you to everyone who wanted to see it. There sure were a lot of you, too many to write down, trust me on this one lads. And of course, thank you to our researchers and research associates who support us through Patreon and YouTube memberships. And again to Jennywolf for commissioning this one. Remember, you too can join in if you want to support our channel. And you get some nice perks too, like seeing all of our creatures and videos ahead of time and helping mold them into shape. Or you can also like, subscribe, or leave a comment telling me any type of creature you would like me to give the Spekibo treatment in the show. Any of those really help the channel a lot. Thank you all so much for watching, and see you next time on the Speculative Wildlife Research Center.